Hello and welcome to 7th Plymouth Chat. My name is Steve DeGrecci and I'll be your host for today's show. A little bit about me. My background is in human resources and I own a small business called Transitions, your business and career resource center. Transitions offers business and career coaching, resume and interviewing service, and computer training. For today's show, we're going to meet Geoff Diehl. He's the candidate for representative for Abington, Whitman, and East Bridgewater. He's also a Whitman resident. We hope to have monthly discussions regarding what's going on in these communities, the district, and the state as well. On today's episode, what we want to do is we want to meet Geoff and talk a little bit about his background and discuss some of the issues facing our towns now that it's budget season especially, and hear about some upcoming events. So welcome, Geoff.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. And also must say that your business, it's very timely for your business right now, obviously with a lot of people in transition with the economy. So glad for you to take time out of your schedule to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Geoff. Well, let's get right to the questions. Hopefully this will be one of many shows. And we're going to be talking to Geoff about his candidacy against Alan McCarthy. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to run for state representative?
Okay, well, I can back up to, let's see, how far back should I go? I guess when I met my wife back in New York City, something like 15 years ago now, it was a blind date, and she came from the South Shore of Massachusetts. So I came up here and met the family, and pretty much immediately fell in love with the town. We ended up moving here about 10 years ago, and we have two daughters now. A daughter Kaylee, who's 8, and a daughter Emily, who's 3. Both of them go to Conley School. And we opened a small business that my wife runs. It's a dance studio, or a performing arts school. Actually, they do acting and voice and all that as well. So we opened that up when we moved here, and I took a job with a sign company in Brockton. And a few years later, I moved on to Poyant Signs, where I'm at now, which is out of New Bedford, and I work as an account executive for them. So, how
was business in the sign business?
Yeah,
Is it
well,
brisk?
It's slightly picking up because I think people are starting to see a bit of a rebound in the economy, although there's still a lot of projects that are on hold or have died because of the national economy and the local economy as well. It's about 2 years ago, we really started seeing a tightening up, and a lot of stores started closing. We were taking things down, signs down, and there really wasn't a lot of new business coming into those areas. So it's been difficult. And things like the Southfield project in Weymouth or the Plymouth Rock Studios down in Plymouth, things like that have been either on hold or don't look like they're going maybe well. So there's still a lot of tentative speculation as to what's going on with the economy, but a lot of the work I do is with banks, and when they acquire each other, and a lot of that stuff slowed down as well.
There's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions, hasn't there?
That's right. That's right. But so what happened was in 2008, when we had the national elections, I started to get more and more involved in watching. I think everybody was kind of watching that election. It was a historic time, and I became more and more aware of the fact that it seemed like the national politics and the state politics just weren't representing the people. And I felt that way. And at the same time, the business environment seemed to be becoming more and more difficult. And I decided at that time it was, let's see what I can do. And I asked around. Nobody was running against my opponent in 2008. So I thought, all right, we'll give this a go, because I really feel like I've got some solutions that we can move forward with and try to make the state better. And I certainly think there's a lot of things to fix. I'm also on the Whitman Finance Committee, and I'm the liaison to the school board.
Yeah.
So I see directly how the lack of funding that's supposed to be there mandated is not happening, and I think it's time to fix what's broken up at the State House. So,
Right.
In a nutshell, that's the reasons why I wanted to run. Now, getting up and running obviously is a whole other thing, but it's certainly opened my eyes in the last few years, and I've been able to meet a lot of people as part of this campaign, and learn a lot about what's affecting people. And door to door last summer. I'll be going out again this summer and talking to the people about what's important, because that's really what's necessary, is to have a person who's a representative taking the information back to the state, and also getting that information from the State House back to the town in a timely manner so it's usable. You know, again, town meetings, they're difficult to plan when you're trying to pass a budget that you don't know what the final revenues are going to be from the state. So those are some of the goals I have. And
how have you been received by the public when you go to these door-to-doors? And you've done a lot of them already.
Yeah, well, you know, over a year ago.
What do they talk about? What's the issue?
The first thing you get is, well, who's Geoff Diehl? You know, when you first start out, you know, well, I'm married to Kathy Jo Bosch. She grew up here all her life, and I've lived here about 10 years now. So, so the first thing you want to do is obviously get people to know who you are, and I feel that's been important and good. I've been able to. And you know, a lot of people just from business interaction. With my wife owning a studio, you know, you certainly know a lot of the people who come through the doors there and things like that. So that's been great. But the reaction in general to the message I'm sending has been, I mean, overwhelming. And I don't certainly want to ride on the coattails of Scott Brown, but I will say this: Scott Brown hit a nerve in the state. He hit a nerve nationally, but he hit a nerve here in the state, and especially in our communities. I mean, if you know the results that happened, he won the district
70%,
70-30 roughly, when you take all the numbers of the three towns in, and that message really was, it's time for people to become accountable in the government for the people. And so that message, I actually was out last summer spreading the word that I was going to be working for the people, and I think Scott echoed that, and that's why he certainly resonated here. And I think that's what people want to know is, are you really listening to us? Are you actually going to represent our interests at the Beacon Hill, not just any one party? So that was that to me is sort of the message that the people want to give to the state. Obviously, my goal is to get to the State House and find out what we can do there to answer those people back in the way that we need it.
It almost sounds like this was an easy decision for you and your family to make because of the political environment. Is it fair to say that to run for office is, first of all, it's a logistical nightmare at times. I'm sure you have to be here, there, and elsewhere and learn the issues and meet the people. But how influential was Kathy Jo in helping you make this decision?
I could not be doing this without her, that's for sure. And an easy decision, no. We discussed how to get involved, and we thought, you know, is it through volunteering or running maybe for more of a local office, you know, like selectmen or something like that. And I really felt, and my wife and I have never been afraid of a challenge. Opening, you know, her business, me working in industry, I've always kind of proven that I can come to a different industry and do well in it. I used to work, for example, when we met in advertising in New York, and then we went to Los Angeles. I got involved in television production and was involved in some pretty big projects by the time I left that industry to come here. We really wanted to raise our kids in the environment where she grew up, and the kind of environment I like. So there wasn't as much television production, you know, commercial television production here in the South Shore. You know, hoping that the Plymouth Rock Studios would take off for her sake, but it might happen. But no, I mean, and I'm not trying to take away from the cable access. This is actually a wonderful forum. It's sort of a little jewel right here as well. It's one of the reasons that, you know, you love a town like Whitman is we've got incredible facilities and people that dedicate their time to doing this.
Certainly.
So not to just sidetrack here, but I did. It was not an easy decision, let's just put it that way, because my wife and I don't like to do things without a lot of forethought and putting all our effort into it.
Well, you have a young family too, so you have to take that into consideration. Do the girls miss Daddy already because he's gone every night of the week?
You know, I try to take them to things that I can when it's appropriate. But you know, quite a bit of it has to do with speeches and things, and that's very boring for them. So we've sort of got a little code